Okay, students, on this video, I'm going to show you how to do a walkthrough. And before I do the walkthrough, for me, I kind of plan where I want to walk through. And you can adjust it. You can make as many walkthroughs as you want, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to walk through the front of the house. And I think what I'll do is I'll walk by the living room here. I'll walk into the kitchen, walk through here, around the kitchen, and then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and go into the master bedroom through the door. I'll kind of circle the master bedroom. Of course, if there's furniture and stuff here, of course, you know, the walkthrough, you want it to be realistic. So I'm going to walk through the master bedroom, walk through here, back into the hallway, and then I'll go out to the back door. And let's see, I guess maybe what I'll do is I'll go ahead and circle around the whole house. And then I'll go ahead and stop it at the front somewhere around here, okay? So I kind of need to, I don't need to, but I like to do that myself, kind of plan which way I'm going to walk. So that way when I start drawing, because you're going to draw the walkthrough kind of like the way I'm drawing it now, you need to show the path. Which way are you walking? And that way the walkthrough will be generated just with that path, okay? And then there's other things you're going to do through the walkthrough as we generate it, okay? So for that one, we're going to go over here. And you always want to do it on a plan view where you can actually see where you're going to walk through. So you just pick, one of the floor plan views, and you click on walkthrough. Okay. So here is where I'm just going to basically start drawing my walkthrough. So I'm going to start with I'm going to pick a point here in the front, and I'm going to pick another point here. And the little triangle is kind of like the camera view. It's showing the depth of which way you're going and where you're actually looking. You can kind of see here, I'm looking this way, and I'm going to walk here into the hallway. And I'm clicking dots as I go. I'm going to walk into here, to the bedroom. And then I'm going to go back to the door. I'm going to click over here and walk through the back door. And I'm going to circle around all the way around the house. All the way around over here. And then stop at the point where I'm actually looking at the house again. And that's the last one I click. And after that, you just click Finish Walkthrough. As soon as I do that, it shows me where it did the walkthrough. Okay, it shows me where it did the walkthrough. Also, over here in the project browser, it generated another category. So now I have renderings, but also I have walkthroughs. So there's the walkthrough, and I can go double click on walkthrough 1, and it takes me to this view. So this view looks similar, at least in my opinion. It's kind of like a camera view. Okay, so at this point, I double click on walkthrough 1, and I'm going to click on edit walkthrough, so that it gives me I guess the walkthrough, so I can play it. And right now I'm all at frame 300. Okay, so it generated 300 frames to do this walkthrough. So I'm just going to go and change this back to 1. So it takes me right to the beginning. Now let me show you. I have to click on edit walkthrough again. Let me show you how crazy it is before I do any settings. I'm going to go ahead and hit play. And I'm going to walk through here. I'm going to kind of walk through the kitchen and walk to the hallway. And oh my God, I'm walking through here. Oh, this is going really fast. Oh my God, I think I'm going to throw up. And you're walking all the way to the outside, to the front. And I walk to the front and I start looking. And there's my front door. Okay. So that's how it sets it up. And then that's when you start working with it. You can go back to maybe shade it. Let's replay it again just because it's fun. You can kind of see that now it's a little bit better because I shaded the camera view, but notice I'm kind of flipping around like crazy all over the place. So it's kind of like a light jog, I guess. I'm kind of jogging through the whole thing. But now we can start making some adjustments. Okay, I can start making some adjustments. So as far as the walkthrough, and this is to my limitation, there's probably way better ways or different ways of doing this, but so at least I can show you this, and maybe you can make it a little better for me in the future. I go and edit the type because to me that's a little bit too fast. That's a little bit too fast. Oh man, I forgot how to add more frames. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to add more frames. How do I do that? Okay, here we go. So as far as total frames, over here on the left on the project browsers, as far as the total frames, I have 300 total frames. Okay, And you could take off the uniform speed, and you can actually, by keyframe, you can actually make some parts faster or some parts slower. And and again, it's just a matter of experimentation. Where are these keyframes? You can actually see those on the plan view. You can go back to the level 1, and it'll show you the locations of those keyframes. If you can go over here to next keyframe, and it'll show you where those keyframes exist. So each keyframe, you can actually make those faster or slower. Okay, and you can kind of see there's like a little camera. There it is. There's the camera view, so it kind of shows you where that's at. So you can go by keyframe. If you're at the walkthrough, and you can start making it adjusting each one and make one faster or slower. Or you can just add maybe a total number of frames, and maybe instead of 3,000, you can make 1,000 frames. And because of the fact that now we have 1,000 frames, whenever I go back to the walkthrough, it will make it a little slower because now it's doing a lot more frames. So when I play it, of course, this computer is a pretty fast computer. It's still going a little bit too fast, but at least you can notice it's a little bit better. Okay. Now the other thing too, it's walking, but to me, it's almost like if you're walking like a robot. It's like you're walking and looking straight, looking straight, looking straight. But that's not usually the way we walk. You got to think about a human being. So, like, let's say I'm walking by the living room. Let me go ahead and stop this. Okay. So to make it a little bit more interesting to me, is I go to the living room, and let's say somewhere in here, when you're walking, you got to think about how you walk. When you walk to the living room, do you look just straight? What do? You're walking through here, and you're probably looking over here and say, hey, cool, this is pretty cool, but you're walking this way. Okay. So with that being said, you kind of have to adjust per keyframe the camera view, and you go transition between those areas. Okay. So what we do, at least the way I've done it, is I go to the walkthrough, edit walkthrough, and let me go back to the beginning. I'm going to go back to 0 or 1, I'm sorry. And then I'm going to go to my next keyframe. So on my next keyframe, let's say I want to, here, I want to start looking towards the right. So I'm still going to walk straight, but I'm going to press and hold and start looking towards the right, like down a little bit. Then I'm going to go to the next keyframe. And on this one, I'm just going to look even more to the right, like this, on this keyframe. Okay. Go to the next keyframe. And on this one, let's say I'm going to start looking this way. Because when you're walking, you're always walking and looking to the left and to the right. You don't usually walk straight like a little robot type of thing. You're always just kind of looking back and forth. So you just want to look at and kind of consider how you're actually walking. And then in here, maybe I'm looking down to see what the stove looks like, or whatever the case may be. And I go to the next keyframe. Maybe on this one, I want to start looking. Maybe I still want to look at the stove because I really like stoves. So just as I keep walking, the stove is already behind me. So maybe at this point, maybe I'll look at the door. I don't know. So you start setting up each keyframe with a camera view, or adjusting the camera view. Okay. So let me just show you what that looks like from here. So I'm going to go ahead and press play. So now, as I walk in, I'm walking straight, but I'm looking to the right. And I look at the living room. Oh, that looks pretty cool. And I come back over here, and I'm looking at the kitchen, and I'm looking down at the stove. That's pretty cool. So that's how you mess with the walkthrough. I didn't adjust anything else, so everything else is going to stay the same. But that's how you work with the walkthroughs. So you can do the keyframes. And not only that, you can actually go from one floor to the other if you have a two-story. So in one walkthrough, with the keyframes, you can go and start walking upstairs, and you can really do so many different things. And you can once again see how many hours and how much time you can spend by doing and adjusting and adding frames and all that. And right now, the thing is, of course, I'm working with shaded. Can I change this over to realistic? Okay. Yeah, you can do that. But I suspect, and we're going to find this out right now, that it might get a little bit too intense. It might get a little too intense. As a matter of fact, I can't even play the walkthrough. I guess it won't let me. I have to go back to shaded. And how do I edit the walkthrough? All right, I lost my little ribbon, so I'm not sure why it doesn't let me edit the walkthrough. Oh, there it is, edit walkthrough. So let's say I go back to realistic. Edit walkthrough. There we go. Okay. Not sure what happened. I had to actually click on the frame and play. So notice it's getting way slower now because it's technically rendering each and every little frame. So because of the fact that I have a pretty nice, well, I'm going to walk right through the door. Because of the fact that I have our computers here at the school have nice graphics cards, it's able to quickly render each and every little frame. You can see the tree through the outside, and you can see the leaves and everything. But again, you got to be careful because sometimes it's just too much. It's too much for the computer to handle, and it might crash on you. But other than that, that's how you do walkthrough.